I'm asking if it's appropriate, but we'll see.
You're now live.
Okay. All right, I would like to call the meeting to order. It's 9 o'clock on October 20th. And I would like to have an approval of the agenda, please. Who would like to move that? All right, Jeremy, and seconded by Brian, all in favor? Deb, are you in favor? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, carried, good. Anybody want to disclose any disqualifying interest, any financial information in any way in this and the nature of it? Thank you. May I also have approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, please? Would anybody like to approve those? Deb? Anybody else want to second that? Jeremy, all in favor? 1, 2, all right, carried. All right. Now, business arising from the minutes, and first on the agenda is the entryway, and Terry Vashano is here today with us. So Terry, the entryway, please.
Okay, so this is.
Sorry, what's the question?
Okay, all right.
All right,
So
What's the
the question
concern?
is,
What's the problem? I haven't
all right,
heard.
Debbie, do you want to talk on the entryway?
Just the hole in the ground by the front door on the gravel pathway.
Okay, just before we start into those incidentals, we can, if you look at the minutes of the last meeting, Terry was gonna, look into this whole situation, and, there were two issues, right? We wanted to access from the rear doors, or rear parking lot into the front doors. And the other thing was obviously the pathway from the road to the front doors. And so, what we had said was at the time, it seems like it's not a very good solution right now. And we went back and forth with some emails, and then, if you recall, we asked Terry to go back to Stuart, but unfortunately, Terry said, "Well, your proposed method or suggested method will be too expensive," and then Stuart just came back and said, "I agree with Terry." So it's obvious, wouldn't he? You gave him the out without even giving him a chance to think about it, or ask Abby to go and get some quotes on the thing, right? Like, I'm so disappointed that you jumped to the conclusion. Did you include your public works guys in that?
So perhaps just to clarify, so you're right, Jeremy, there was some emails. If I read my email correctly, and if I recall what I wrote, I did not say it was mainly about the price. The price was actually, I would say, probably issue number 3 with respect to those solutions. I think number 1 was actually the safety concern of putting down plywood. Because if I recall, the suggested solution that was provided that I was to go back with was about a proposed plywood boardwalk from either, mainly from the street to the entryway. And what I had communicated from my perspective was I felt that a plywood boardwalk did not make any sense. Money aside, plywood when it gets wet is very slippery, and plywood when it gets wet and cold is extremely slippery. So I felt that myself on behalf of my department, I did not think that was a proper solution. And I think that's what Stuart.
Yes, I do know you said that. You did say that, yes.
Yeah, and I think Stuart agreed to that component.
No, he didn't. Pardon me.
Okay.
No, I think we got to do it accurately, Terry.
Okay.
The point that you came back with, and I can show you your email, you just said it's too expensive. That was it. That's all you said. What we had suggested is putting a wood. We didn't say plywood. We just said a wood walkway, and put some of that anti-slip on it. You know, and the thing is, you know, this is why I'm asking you, because like, if you go to your public works group, maybe they know solutions for this. You're asking us, you know, we're just coming up with ideas that can hopefully get it, you know, in place for the guys, for these seniors, if you saw them. And it's one we actually, you know, if you ever saw somebody walking over that stuff with their walkers, like it would, you'd change your mind, honest to God, you would. So that's what it is. I've watched them.
Terry, can you get the public works involved? It is after all a township building. It's a township walkway. It's a township safety matter.
I could go back if the direction is that entrance and only that entrance can be used to enter the station on the green building. If that's the only option, then yeah, perhaps there are other options that could be explored with respect to that entrance. But if I recall in my email that I wrote, I did also suggest that the building has 7 other doors to get into that building. I went to the building, took pictures of all the doorways, and I don't understand myself why we cannot use other doors that have access to that building. Specifically the one on the north side of the building that enters directly into the hall. Why can we not use those doorways as a temporary means of accessing the building versus trying to accommodate the regular pathway that regularly gets used? So I guess my question, Linda, is back to the station on the green board is, why is the board opposing to using alternate doorways versus altering the existing construction pathway?
I agree with you up to a point, Terry. There are alternate doorways. There is the problem of coming from the parking area around to the front because there's still that fence there. So but if people are coming in from the street, they would walk on the main walkway. Now, Debbie, have there been any problems with coming in from the parking area into there and using that entrance?
Now, the church actually prefers it because they can back their trucks right up to the doors and bring in all their equipment. There haven't been any issues with it at all, but there's the 2 front door, the 2 doors, I think there's 2 there facing the street that are on the walkway too, that we would have to open from inside because they don't have handles. But I think the big concern was the heat loss from the rooms outside when those other doors are open, because there's no, like the front lobby part sort of prevents that.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
The back doors, the other doors go right into the room. So you're going to get a lot of cold air in there and a lot of hot air being sucked out. And I think that was one of the big concerns.
And we really do have to, in my opinion, do something to improve the entry into that building. We are starting to get quite a few bookings. It would be nice to be able to just come from the parking area the way we used to, right to the front doors, rather than having to walk around the building or walk off of the main, walk off the street. I do realize that there would be some expense to the village green to enable this. But I also agree with Jeremy. I think, Jeremy, what do you think? Continue on with what you were saying about dealing with this after listening to Debbie and listening to Terry.
Yeah, I think, I think that we really need to get a solution that provides for people to use accessible doors. And like the very simplest is making that pathway correctly into the building, rather than having gravel that now has got divots in it for some reason. Like I don't know why we're here sitting trying to come up with ideas of how to make it like that when like that's an engineering group out there with the Stewart's people, right? Though, they've got lots of ideas. They're builders. They know that stuff. Your public works guys know that stuff. I don't know why it is we're sitting here trying to compromise and try to reduce our access to the building because there are probably good solutions. And that's what it would be nice to, if we could just get involved with public works, get involved with, we really do need a good answer. It's not going to cost necessarily too much. But if it does, so be it. It's one of those unfortunate things. He's over budget. We can't help him get under budget, but let's not ourselves have to compromise to that degree.
Jeremy, oh, sorry, Terry.
So again, I have two questions, Linda, for the board, and I need these answers so I can write them down so I can report back and explain this to folks higher than me. The first one is, I went and reviewed and inspected all the doorways, all 7 doors that access the Station on the Green building, and I don't see a difference between any of the doors. All the doors to me are the same size. I measured them all. They have the same lip, for accessibility. To me, they're all the same. The side doors to get in are the same as the back doors. So from an accessible perspective, I don't see the difference between those doors. Heat loss is a good one. That's a whole different concern because that is correct. I mean, if you open the north doors, there is a draft that comes into that building. I totally agree. But from an accessible perspective, I would even say that the back door is even more accessible than the side doors. That's just my own personal opinion. Either way, I need somebody to explain to me the difference from an accessible perspective from the back, specifically the north door and the back end that accesses the parking lot versus the regular side doors. So that one, because when I go back to Public Works or I go back to folks and say, we really want to use that regular pathway, the question I get back from people is, well, why don't you use the other doors?
Okay.
I need an answer.
Gary,
I need an answer.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So let me just explain this once again. Okay. So our preferred method is coming from the parking lot into the station through the double doors. Yeah. And that's what we would ideally like.
Okay.
Yeah. But, they say that can't be done. It just can't be done. So we don't know why, but that's what they said. Where did Linda go?
Well, I'm here.
Everybody moved around.
I can explain why, Jeremy, later on. I can explain why.
So then the other thing is those back doors that you're referring to facing the parking lot and all those front doors, they face into the actual open rooms.
Yeah.
And so what it is somebody's renting room 1 and you're trying to, or the whole place, and you're trying to get people into those that are all set up for something or other, right? So right. It's I guess people can work around it, but it's just not, you're kind of walking into the active area.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why it's not preferred. I guess if push came to shove, I guess you can do anything, right? But I just don't know why we're getting shoved into something where I'm not sure everybody else has made their contribution of ideas.
Brian would like to comment. His hand is up. Brian?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I've gone back through the minutes. I can't find anywhere where the board was informed that we were going to lose the front entrance way to the station. Had we been told that originally, we would have been looking at alternate ways of dealing with that situation. Just as Jeremy says, those doors lead directly into rental space, rooms. And they're not always open. Like one room could be having one group in it, and the other room could be in use with a different group, and the walls are, those partition walls could be closed, so that when you enter to get to the other room or you go there, you're coming, possibly interrupting stuff. Also, those are exit doors. I believe they're fire doors. But all right, we could use those doors. But it would seem to me that people arriving to use the facility would need to know where they're to go, since they're not going to the front door anymore. And so some signage would be useful. And also making sure there's a clear pathway to those doors. And that's something that could have been dealt with had we been informed this back when it was known that they were going to have to close the entranceway to the front door. We didn't get any information. We only get the information afterwards, it seems. And then we're told nothing can be done about it. Oh yeah, you can use those doors. Well, we could use the windows too. People could come in. You know, so we're trying to now do a rear guard action to catch up and allow people, you know, proper use of the building. You have to consider that there's people of all ages coming to these buildings, and some of them have walkers, some of them may be in wheelchairs. And those are the things we would have to plan ahead for and have some kind of solution. I just don't understand why Public Works was not involved in this solution. I don't understand why paving stones can't be just laid on top of the gravel to the front door and an entrance way put in there. I've seen that done in many construction sites, but we're told simply, oh, we can't do these things. Well, I don't know. And I think there is a safety hazard here. There is a liability issue. I'm just first hearing about holes by the front door. This is news to me. I don't, maybe Debbie can see what that is. But obviously the gravel just isn't doing the job. So I think we really need to come up with some really practical solutions. In another month or so, we're going to have snow in the ground. And that's going to present another issue as well. But it would really be nice if we were told in advance of things that when they're going to happen and what's going to happen, instead of finding out afterwards and having to ask questions to get caught up on stuff. Anyway, that's my comment.
Okay, I'm gonna notice I've got my hand up. The other thing, you were saying that the entrance to the entrances are all the same. In my recollection, now I must admit I haven't gone and looked at all of the entrances lately, but I think that at the front doors, it's not that there's a ramp, but there is no little step because there's a piece that just is up and over. So it's actually easier for anybody who's using a walker, who's having any to use the front door. It's not the same as the others. And if I'm not mistaken, and I am willing to be corrected, but I think there is something there. And I also, whoops, hello.
For demonstration purposes, somebody's showing a picture. Thank you.
Oh, there it is. So there's what it is. Thank you. So what can we, so there is a bit of a ramp there, which I think is necessary and has to be accessible for people, particularly as winter is coming up, but just in general. I mean, I think that has to be dealt. And if we can't get that dealt with through the village green, then I think everybody who's saying, please get the township departments to work on it, I think that makes sense. And I think we have to maybe, I don't know, at this point, is there any more sense in discussing, or is it something that somebody should make a motion, get it on the table, vote for it, and then say that Terry is going to have to go ahead and see if we can organize this and not come back with, I'm sorry, there's no money or it can't be done. Like, why not? This is a township building. The township has to take care of it, has to make sure that it's accessible. Am I incorrect in this, Terry?
Not guarantee, Linda, that we, the township, can provide a concrete solution with respect to specifically only using the path from the sidewalk to the entrance doors. I can continue to look at it. We can continue to get some, and can I finish or?
Yeah, you go
You
ahead.
know what, go ahead, Patricia, you can go.
All right, Patty, go ahead.
Thank you. I've had my hand up for 3 different people listening to what Linda has just presented as the ideal. And that is, we need to propose, pass a motion where the township in connection with Village Green take ownership in designing modifications to the entrance of Station on the Green for accessibility, period. We don't own this, but we do suffer it. And we do have things that are going on that are potentially hazardous to guests. So it's not, at our point, we're like a condominium, let me just say. We're responsible for the inside, the walls, and everything inside of it. But as soon as township accepted Village on the Green's proposal, all of what went on outside of our doorstep and into the park area was taken over by Stuart Lazier and his group. Now, there was a time when we were able to work with these people, but unfortunately, we were overruled. Those that wanted to integrate and work with, cooperate, were overruled by those like Deputy Mayor and others, because everybody was waiting to see what was going on. And once it happened, we should have become engaged with their design, but nobody wanted to create the relationship. And you can check your notes on that, Brian, because this thing's been going on for 3 years. So I'm simply going to say now at this point, we need to get Township and Village Green to step to the plate to make sure there is accessibility to the washrooms that are going to be used in the park. And that will include the entrance to Station on the Green. And the other part of it is, okay, which doors, what doors, all these doors. Okay, listen, they're fire exits. They're not entrances to a venue. The main entrance is the entrance to the venue. So you need to have controls, but it also is mandated by the province that all of these venues need to be accessible by 2025. So plan ahead, Township, plan ahead, Village Green. We need to get this done, and we need to have a formal design for access. That's all. It had to be integrated. It should have been integrated when they were doing the park. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. And therefore, I'd like to pass a motion that we ask Township to ask Village Green Design to integrate accessibility to Station on the Green. We don't need it. We don't own it.
Is there anybody who would like to second the motion that Patty has just, or make any amendments to it?
Oh, I think what we need is to involve the township, myself, because I don't know whether this was officially set up or just by habit, but anyway, Terry is the point person to Village on the Green as we understand it. Is that right, Terry? Yeah.
That's correct.
So, right. So the township has now taken over control from us. So I think, Patty, what we need to do is the township needs to resolve this. And they may resolve it by talking to Stuart, or they may resolve it by getting Public Works in and just putting a one-day solution in place, which will save us all hours of talking. But really, it's I would say it's a township matter.
All right, then Jeremy, do you want to make any kind of an alteration to the motion that Patty has suggested? It would have to be a friendly amendment.
Mm-hmm.
Or
so, Brian has a comment too. So
Brian?
Let's hear Brian.
Brian?
All right. 2 things. One, Patty, when you say accessibility, are you including accessibility to all the doors, or are you referring simply to the front entranceway?
If you read the mandate for what public places and how public places need to be modified, I've been involved with it myself over the last 5 years. You need to have an accessible entrance, period. It would not be necessary to have the fire exits accessible because people would be leaving, and that's fine. But you need to have an accessible entrance for wheelchair, physically challenged people to gain entry into a public space. So it's, I think, important for us to have it done in a permanent way. This is needs, right now, I think our concerns are temporary. We have things that are going on. So let's not mix up, the apples with the oranges here. So the first thing is, I think the discussions up to this point that I just jumped into, I apologize for being late. The entrance right now is being utilized by Taekwondo or whatever the heck in the church, etc. And we're trying to get more business through the doors. We need some modification right now, even if it's a piece of plywood, to have it flush so that people can get into the building without tripping over that entrance that was pictured a moment ago. And then the other part of it is we need a plan, and it needs to be designed and integrated to maintain the integrity of the existing structure that will be a permanent accessibility entrance to meet the deadlines that are required.
Brian, you had a comment?
Because that sounds like then a two-part motion, one that we need, and maybe if we could have the wording of the motion clarify that it's the front entranceway that we're talking about, making that accessible. And maybe the second part is that going forward, we need to produce a plan so that the whole building is accessible, including all the other doors. But if we could focus on the front door right now. And the second comment on this is, who are we directing this motion to? The Village Green Foundation or the township? My understanding is that the township has handed the whole thing over to the Village Green, that it's totally under their control right now. So the township would be unable to exercise any oversight over what's happening there. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I've been told. So I'm not sure whether the township is able to do anything on their own property or whether this goes to the foundation to do. Terry, could you clarify that?
I would love to. I would like to clarify about 5 points, but may I speak or am I going to get cut off halfway here? Can I speak?
You can talk. Please do.
Excellent.
Talk. Okay.
Thank you. So I'm gonna deal with a bunch of points that have been made. I think I marked them all down. And after these points are made, if you still want to put through a resolution, that's fine. So the first one, maybe the most current one, is the comment that Brian made. That is false. The township has not provided full ownership to Village Green. The township controls both sites. They're both going to be owned by the township. Specifically, the Village Green pathway is owned and operated by the township and not Village Green. So at the end of the day, that entrance, in reference to Pat's other point, is there is a plan already in place to make that front entrance fully accessible. The gravel that you've seen, and I will show these pictures again to you, the gravel that you've seen is a temporary measure to have access to those doors. There is a small little lip there, but again, the existing temporary solution does allow for folks to access the doors. I don't know about where the story is coming that the existing doors are not, you can't access them. You can access them. But there is a plan in place to put fully locked stone, that whole entrance, to put it right up to that entrance. That was part of the original design. So this motion about needing a plan, there's already a plan in place that was shared 2 years ago as part of the Village Green plans. So that kind of references that part. So if you want me to reshare the plan, I could reshare the plan and you can see it, but it was shared on many occasions.
Yeah.
Either way. But no, Brian, to your point, no, the township owns and operates, and no ownership or no operation has been provided. On behalf of the Village Green, the reason why we are in this state today is because they're having significant issues with their contractor and the timelines that they've provided. So if everything would have went according to plan, this entrance would have been, the new lockstone would have been put in place as per the plan 2 months ago. Unfortunately, they've been dealt a bad hand. A lot of materials is on back order. They've had significant issues in their construction. They've had some significant delays. They've had some water piping issue. They've cut some fiber optic line. They've had some issues, and it set their timeline back. That's why we're having this whole discussion today, is because they have not had a chance to put in the new lockstone to access those typical entrance doors. That's why we're here today. So we're here today, hopefully trying to figure out a temporary measure to allow the station on the green to be able to rent your facility to your customers. That's what we're hoping to try to do today. We have, as far as I'm concerned, two options. To Jeremy's point, we can try to figure out other opportunities versus the existing small stone that's there. From what I understand, that is not acceptable by the Station and Green Board. You guys do not want those little stones as a temporary measure. You prefer something else. And Jeremy wants us to go back and see what that something else looks like. That's option one. Option two is to use other doorways as a temporary measure to be able to have accessible to the building until this is to the lockstone is finished. Village Green has shared with me they're hoping to have the new lockstone down by this November. So a month from now, this could all be a moot point if their supplies come in on time and they could actually lay down the new lockstone at the existing entrance. Again, we're trying to find a temporary measure to make these doors accessible. I just want to share some pictures with you very, very quickly in reference to what I'm speaking about. May I share my screen very quickly, Linda?
Yes,
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the first picture is, here's the existing temporary measures that are in place to access these two doors. One on the left is obviously the washrooms. The one on the right is the double doors. So you can see these little gray stones that have been put down as a temporary measure. Let me just stop sharing this screen. Let me show you this one here. This is specifically the one that I showed before. Let me just show you this one really quickly. So this is now that if we get into the double doors, you can see the temporary measure that's been put in place. That little checkered plate, that was always there. And you can see the old lockstone. So again, this lockstone is going to be removed. This plate's going to be removed, and new lockstone, as per the plan, is going to be put in place to butt up against this, up to that door. So long-term, permanent, this is all going to be, when the new lockstone is installed, this is all going to be managed, and it'll be fully accessible. Last picture I want to show you is the door in reference to the north parking lot. That's the existing north parking lot door. This is the door that I was referring to, is why can it not be used as a temporary measure to access the building for maybe a month's time, or maybe over the course of this winter only. You can see that there is a little lip there, not as big as I thought there was, but there is a little lip, and perhaps something can be put down there to make it flush from the doorway to the existing lockstone.
There's no door handle.
Correct. A door handle would have to be added, correct, yes. So other solutions that could be suggested also is, Brian, excellent point. Signage would have to be proper proper, there's not just a little paper against the wall, but something very professional looking signage would have to be put up everywhere as a temporary measure. And second, if loss of heat is a concern, which Debbie mentioned, which is a good one, maybe the Village on the Green could consider offsetting some of the heating costs, and also perhaps even the cost of adding a door handle if required. But again, I hope the goal here is to deal with this on a temporary basis, because right now, to me, the issues we have is temporary in nature until the new lockstone is put down, so we have full accessibility to the double doors. So if it's something temporary we're looking at, let's work with that. But if I understand Pat's resolution correctly, there's reference regarding permanent long-term solutions. Those permanent long-term solutions are all in place. They've all been approved. The building department is fully aware of them. To me, that resolution, I could resend the plans. It will probably answer your resolution, which is, I don't think is what the Station on the Green board is looking for. You're looking for a temporary solution to access the double doors. So again, long-winded answer, but you guys have provided 5 or 6 points, and I really want to address them all. But again, the ultimate question is, do we make those double doors accessible now, or do we use an alternate method in the short term? Thank you.
Brian?
Yes, thank you, Terry. Just to clarify something, I think you misinterpreted a comment that I made in terms of the Village Green and the park area. I understand that the township owns that property. But my point was that the construction of the park and all of that entails is under the Village Green Foundation's responsibility. The town has no oversight over that other than you approved it. But the ongoing construction is totally their responsibility. That is why I asked, do we go to Public Works for this? Are they able to do anything at all? Or is it the Village Green Foundation that is doing it? I found it somewhat strange that the town would hand over the construction, total construction, to the foundation and have it out of their hands, because they're still liable for what happens there. And yes, we have seen the plans. We're aware that that is to be a finished area, patio area, but the point was that one day we were able to walk to the front door, and the next day it was fenced off, and then there was gravel put there. And for everyone's surprise, we were not informed. We would simply really like to be informed about what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. And we would like to be part of that so that we can point out things that, would be helpful to have done. And we have asked for that in previous meetings with you. You said you meet with the foundation at least once a year, but oftener than that. We have asked to take part in those meetings. And I believe you said that was a good idea, but so far that hasn't happened. We would like to be involved in this. We would like to know what's going on, because we think we can offer some helpful suggestions, at least in terms of the management of the Station on the Green. And had we known that this was going to be happening, and yes, with COVID, there is supply chain issues, things are behind. If they had said that to us, we're going to have a problem here coming up. We're going to put a temporary thing in, and here's what we're doing. We could have pointed out, it would be better if you could do this, and we wouldn't be spending time at this meeting going over this. It would really be better for everybody if we could somehow manage to do that. But in the interim, gravel normally is fine, except that we have people with walkers and wheelchairs, and that doesn't always work. And as you say, we have other doors, but not all of them have door handles, and we need signage, and we need, but if we do all of that and then they have it paved in a month, what was the point of doing all of that? So this is why it would really be helpful if we could somehow be part of the the information chain, at least in terms of what is happening.
Is there anybody who would like to make any type of, excuse me, is there anybody who would like to make any type of motion, anything that we can get a concrete question, we can make a motion and get a concrete answer? Because we are looking at a situation in my head as we're going into winter, and I know there are a number of things already booked for the station, and they're not small numbers. There's some bigger events happening, and we are going to have a lot of people walking from the street on that, just not from the parking lot. We are going to have a great deal. If somebody falls, if somebody breaks a leg, the township is going to end up getting sued. I think the township should start realizing that there's a lot of danger and risk depending on who's walking on that gravel. And those side doors are not, those parking lot doors are not necessarily always going to be available. There's not necessarily going to be somebody there to open and close them. There may be other things happening in other rooms. It may, you know, I mean, when you think about it, there can be a problem. We need to have a motion. We need to have somebody have a motion, a seconder, and we can get it carried and put this to, I think, the township at this point. In my head, not the Village Green, because we're not, Jerry is the one who is working with them. We have to ask the township to make that front entrance safe, and we have to make it safe for anybody who goes in there. And that walkway is not it. There are going to be people who are going to be walking in there, walking through town, walking over there just to use the washrooms when they're open. There are going to be people walking there to use the winter, you know, say if there's a winter market or at least the Christmas market. We've got a lot of events coming. There are going to be a lot of people using that walkway. We have to make it safe. Please, do we have a motion? Jeremy, do you have a comment or a motion?
I'd like to make a motion, except Terry, did you have something to comment first?
Yeah, Linda, so just to confirm for my own mind, I'm just going to again share the screen very quickly. You're suggesting that entrance is not safe. That's what you're suggesting, Linda? That's not safe? Just so you know.
I'm suggesting that that stone for people to walk on is difficult and could become a problem.
Okay.
And is already a problem. That stone is obviously, it means that depending on what the shoes are, depending on if somebody is using a walker, depending on if somebody is in a wheelchair, depending on what's going on, that stone is not a good idea, and it is not safe. No, according to current regulations, I do believe that that entranceway, the actual entrance that you've been showing in pictures, is accessible and is okay. It's that temporary stonework that is the problem. Jeremy, back to you.
Mm-hmm. Right. So this motion is going to be proposed on the basis that that gravel 3/4 pit run or whatever it is not suitable as a solution. Now,
Sorry, guys, just as a point of order, you do have a motion on the floor from Patty. So this would be
I'm sorry,
a friendly amendment if you wanted to add more information to that, Jeremy.
Could you read it back, Kayla, please, what I proposed?
Yeah, so my understanding, and I'm happy to be corrected if I'm wrong, but my understanding of the conversation reads somewhat, be it resolved that the Creemore Station on the Green Board hereby request Clearview Township communicate the requirement of main entry access to the Station on the Green facility to the Village Green Foundation Construction Group to ensure the walkway is completed as soon as possible. And that's moved by Patty.
Debbie, comment?
Yeah, Terry, what about limestone instead of gravel?
stick to your feet, and
I know it's,
it's a bit horrible kind of a thing for the rest of the facility.
Is there any objection to my motion?
Does your I don't know that your motion is just, yeah, Brian?
I think that, you're asking the Village Green to finish the front entrance way as quickly as possible. And I would assume that they are trying to do that. I don't think they're not doing it because they don't want to. It's because they don't have the materials, as Terry has said. They're held back. It's beyond their control, but they would like to get it done. I'm thinking, and as Terry said, if they're going to have it done in November, I think what we're really looking at is something between now and November that will make that pathway safer and easier for people that have difficulty walking or are in wheelchairs, that sort of thing. Is there something, can we focus on that? Because otherwise, basically, the motion going forward would go to Stuart, and Stuart's, if I were Stuart, I'd look at it and say, but I am trying to do it as fast as possible. So I don't think that's the issue right now. The issue is getting that front entrance way safe for accessibility for everyone. It's generally, as Harry says, it's generally safe, but there are people, I think, that would have difficulty with it. And we are starting to rent now, so more and more people are starting to use the building. I think it would be wise to put something in that just makes it that much safer if we could. And if the motion could focus on that, I would support it.
Thank you, Brian. And basically, I think, Patty, could you just at this point, is it acceptable for me to ask that you withdraw that motion and that we have a motion that's just narrower that Jeremy might be doing? Is that acceptable or not?
Yeah, I can withdraw it. I left it more open because I don't think there is a design that shows a picture of the entrance of the building. What Caleb put up on the screen is everybody's seen that, but there is no design per se that shows modifications to the entrance station on the green as far as I've seen them. Now, maybe some other people here on the board have attended other meetings that have been party to something that shows it, but I don't think we would have been discussing this ad nauseum if there was such a thing. Now, Terry has already presented the opportunity to modify the fire entrance. The township seems willing to do something like that, and maybe we should redirect the Band-Aid solution at this point because it's the only thing we've got. That's all I have to say about it. But I'd like to know what design is provided to show a modification for Station on the Green building with accessibility.
All right, can I make a suggestion that we end up with two motions? I can see what you're looking for, Patty. But first, a motion that just looks at something that is a short-term, something that will allow people to use that walkway and to get into the building easily without walking on the stone. And then what I'm understanding from you, Patty, is that you would like motion to make a motion that you can see the design, the proposed design of what the Village Green is going to be doing with the front entrance. So you would like to see the design of the front entrance by the Village Green, and maybe Jeremy has a motion for the temporary walkway and how we can deal with that. Does this make sense to anybody else?
Yeah, that's good.
So, Linda, you don't need a motion to receive those plans. We can ask for those. It doesn't need to be a formal motion, but I can put
those plans.
Great.
Yes, I will put that in the minutes and ensure.
All right, thank you. And then Jeremy, let's go to you.
So I'd like to move then that the township provide a temporary solution for access. For access.
I think so.
Can you? Yeah, I think Brian's you're mute or okay. So can provide a temporary solution to the accessibility for the front entrance from the road, from Caroline and from the parking lot, and that it be implemented with a target date of November the 1st.
And we're talking about,
Excuse me, just a sec. Subject to learning that that there are new plans in place by the station, the Stewart's Group,
Village Green.
Village Green. Sorry. So, like, in other words, what we need to do is find out from Stewart, is it or not going to be finished by then? And like I've heard, April is the finish date. Not.
I would bet my bottom dollar that Stewart has no idea whether it'll be finished by then, because they are constantly in flux because of what's going on. So I think we have to narrow in that motion a little bit. Basically, aren't we looking for a motion that suggests that that stone walkway be made a safe walkway through the winter, so that it can be used easily, safely, that it can be cleaned, because it has to be, when the snow comes, you have to be able to care for it. So we want a walkway that is safe, that goes to the front entrance from Caroline Street, and that it can be used by people with walkers, wheelchairs, and on their feet. We want that. Isn't that what we're looking for, Jeremy, or are we looking for something more?
Well, that's what I said without saying that the safe, and I thought that would be a natural, but yeah. So so we're moving that a temporary solution be implemented by November the 1st for accessible entrance from the street or from the parking lot.
And who do we have to gear that towards? Do we have to say in the motion that we're asking the township to take care of it?
Well, township, I think, in our discussions, as we understand it today, unless I'm wrong, Terry is the point person for us we report to Terry, is my understanding. Is that correct?
But do we want the township to take on that job?
Well, we want them, if it's dealing with Stewart, if it's dealing with Public Works, we're asking Terry, not by name, but the township, our direct report, to provide a temporary solution. Yeah, so
Okay.
Terry would have to go and deal with Public Works or the Village Green or whomever. But what we're asking is if we can get a viable solution by November the 1st. And
is there a seconder for this motion? All right, Patty.
There you go.
All in favor of the motion? Terry, you wanted to say something?
Yes, thank you, Linda. So I understand the emotion, I understand the resolution, and I will report back with some answers to that motion at your next meeting. In the interim, a couple things. The first thing we need to do is we need to determine that existing stoneway is declared unsafe. With respect, Linda, I know you've said that you felt that it's unsafe. I think the first thing that needs to be asked is a proper engineer or somebody who's is certified will have to deem that as being an unsafe entrance. That's the first thing. If somebody deems it safe, then there's no reason why you can't use that entrance. I'm not talking from an accessibility perspective. I'm talking on a general usage perspective, like the layman person using that entrance. That's the first thing that needs to be done.
Who does that?
Well, we have our own engineers. Burnsides is an example of an engineer that we hire to assist us in determining these safe or unsafe locations. So based on your resolution, the first thing I need to do is go back and see if that's deemed safe or unsafe. From an accessibility perspective, then the question becomes, can it only be those doors that can be used for accessible purposes? Or are there other doors that the building has that can be used as a temporary measure for accessibility purposes? So when I go to my engineers, they're going to say either yes, that's unsafe, or not. And then when we talk about accessibility, they're going to say, well, why can't you use that other door as a temporary measure? I need to have an answer to say, why we can or cannot use that back door. So as long as I have those answers to provide to the engineers, that's great. And then we can, then if they say it's unsafe, Linda, then those engineers or somebody will come up with a design or an idea on how to make it more safe than what it is right now. So that's, hold on, that's just the one point. The second point, from a timeline perspective, somebody made a comment about Village Green and their timelines and the date of April. What we're talking about is we've asked them, if you recall, Jeremy, back in April, we asked the Village Green to have the Village Green entrance done as a priority. So we said, don't start the lock stones at the street side, start at the station on the green side first to get that entrance done first. So the project as a whole might be done in April, but they may have the new lock stone down for the Village Green entrance as of November. I've reiterated to the Village Green that it's a priority to get that entranceway done as soon as humanly possible. They concur, and that's what their goal is as well. They want to get the new lock stone down there as fast as possible. That may have happened as early as November, but the project as a whole may not be finished until April. But at least the station and the green entrance will be done, which is the ultimate goal here, right?
Correct.
And then the last part.
Okay, sorry, carry on, Terry.
And then, yeah, so that's the last point, was just from a timeline perspective. Oh, I do have one more point. And Patricia, with respect to the plans, the Village Green plan was vetted by our very competent building department. They had to approve the plans that they put in place to make sure that they meet today's accessible standards. And I can assure you that due diligence was completed and those plans were approved as per, Kayla provided one page, but their plan was much more than one page. And I can guarantee you that our building department has approved the plans that they provide as a fully accessible entrance. We can again provide you the plans, you can see them for yourself, but please be reassured that they've been approved by our building department and it definitely meets building standards. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Jeremy?
Just, yeah, to that point, yes, you could certainly ask the engineers to comment to it. But I would also suggest you to speak with your insurer, because they would, I am sure, tell you that it's not a good one. But anyway, I would leave that with you in your good hands, and I would go with the motion as we stated it. And if in the meantime you find that it's acceptable by everybody, we don't think it is, but if you do and the insurer and the engineers do, then we may have to reconsider.
Well, we've had a mover and a seconder, and if there's no other discussion, may I call? All those in favor of the motion?
Can you read it back, please, Kayla?
Kayla?
Yes. Be it resolved that the Creemore Station on the Green hereby recommends Clearview Township provide a safe, maintainable, temporary, accessible solution to the main entrance of the station on the Green from both Caroline Street and the parking lot by November 1st, 2021.
And it's request, not, is that what you put? We're requesting there. Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Sorry, I put recommends, but I can put request.
Yeah, thank you.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you. We can now move on. I'm so excited. All right. All right. Now, financial report. We're up to you, Brian.
You're muted, Brian. Brian,
You're muted. Brian, you're muted. There you go.
Sorry, I keep muting Brian. There was a lot of feedback.
Yeah, I know. I've got clocks going in the background and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, I think this is the, hopefully, this is August. And we're making money now, again. And please notice the EPCOR credit and the program receipts continue to bring in a sizable amount of money, and we're getting more rentals. So they're going to continue to increase. I might point out our electricity bill was $90 approximately, but we bring in over 1,100 from the solar panels. So that is really a good decision that was made many years ago to do that. And our net income is $605.97. And with the memorial donation, our bank balance is $76.3604. The net balance $26.3604. And as I said, the memorial donation with $5,000 is there in the bank account. Last meeting, we mentioned that we might need to paint the building next spring. So that's something that we need to keep in mind and consider. Now, okay, so my apologies. I'm reading on my own here that I printed off, but I've got August, and I'm thinking it should be September, and it is September that everyone. So that's good.
Yes.
But the extra credit is what's carrying us, and the rental is the money we received was banked back in August, but I think Debbie is going to tell us that we're getting more, and we did have a bill with Gravity Sun Power to fix inverters. The inverters were under warranty, but there was a labor cost to do that. And it's a maintenance issue with those solar panels, but they have been carrying us month by month, so this is good. And we again show a net income of $671.90, so that's 2 months in a row we're making money. And we have a bank balance, a net balance of $3275.16, which is about 600 more than last month. So things are looking better in terms of the income level. And if we gradually get back into the rental thing, I think things will be back to normal, hopefully in the new year. Any questions?
Thank you, Brian. If there are any questions, I can't see hands up because I'm not looking at you all. Okay, Jeremy?
Yeah, Brian, was there any custodial fees in September? Couldn't see those in there.
I think it's under loan payments.
Loan?
No.
If I'm not mistaken. I think it says loan payment on the.
Oh, no, there was no custodial. Well, there was a custodial fee, but I ran out of blank checks back in September. I had to go through the township to order new ones. I did not receive them till this week. So I actually paid Debbie from my own account, and the station will have to reimburse me this month. That's why it doesn't show there. But it would be the same as August, I believe, and the 200 for the rental agent and the 278.75 for the custodial. That's a good point, Jeremy. That was would it be why?
Okay, good, thanks. That's very.
We will see. You'll see a double entry for October, and one will be a reimbursement for the September one.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's very good of you to do that. My goodness.
Thank you, Brian, very much.
I'm charging lots of interest, so.
Oh, that's nice of you. That's good. Thank you very much. Any other questions for refinances?
All right, could I just get a quick motion passed that we can reimburse Brian those fees just to cover our butts?
Jeremy, do you want to make a motion that we reimburse Brian, please?
Sure, to move that the Station on the Green reimburse Brian for his disbursements on behalf of the station to Debbie.
And Patty, would you say second it, please? You second that, Patty?
The custodian.
Okay, thank
We should say
you.
Debbie.
All in favor?
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Carrie.
Very interesting.
That's good. I'm glad, Kayla, that's
All
a
right.
good.
Now, Debbie, you're up. Rental report and all.
Okay, for October, I have about $842.17 in rentals up to this date, but there's more money coming in because there is more rentals. For November to this point, I have $649. That's without HST for rentals so far. The Jambé Drum Group is coming back. Then there was a Gaslight Community Theater production. She's running some workshops there, and I think she's going to continue to do that. So that'll be a monthly, weekly occurrence. Okay, that's pretty much for the income for rentals right now. I do have a question. I rented the kitchen out to a restaurant in Collingwood to set up fruit bouquets for their pamphlets. Now, my understanding that the rental of the kitchen is $150. What I would like to propose is that we do $150 for 3 or 4 hours, and then $15 to $20 an hour thereafter. These people were in the kitchen for almost 12 hours for $150. And that's okay if you're renting the whole hall out for a wedding, whatever. But for an individual, that's really cheap. And I would just propose that we do it the other way.
Didn't you tell me too that they even said it was too cheap?
Yep. Their owner of the restaurant even told me that that was really cheap for a commercial kitchen to be used for, for that type of scenario. And
do you have some other people who are interested possibly in renting that kitchen?
I have 3 or 4 other people, and I have been in touch with a few caterers who would like to possibly use our kitchen for the events they're catering to.
So, can we have first any comment on the suggestion that Debbie has made, or would anybody like to make a motion, or Debbie can even make the motion? And would it, it be Patty?
Do you see the little logo on the top left-hand corner of my screen? It has a hand up. That's my hand up. Anyway, that's okay.
No, I don't. You don't see it other than when you put your hand right there. I see it, but there's no logo.
Listen, first of all, well done, Debbie. Look at the income she's bringing in already. That's fantastic. And I do totally agree with her idea to increase the rents for a certified kitchen. My question is the kitchen a certified kitchen? I don't know.
It is a commercial kitchen.
Yes.
Well, then I think we should be checking on what the going rate is for use of a certified kitchen and make modified adjustments accordingly, making it a little cheaper because it's in the community. But I think it's definitely a great idea to adjust the rents for that. Thank you for suggesting it.
It's not just the community that rents it, though. If it's somebody from Creemore, then yeah, I totally agree. But the people that rented it are opening a big restaurant in Collingwood.
Yeah, so that would be fair. And they, as you said, they even felt it was less, should have been more. So I personally like the rates you're suggesting. Now, if somebody's renting the whole facility, including the kitchen, that doesn't come into play at all.
Yeah.
It's just when people are using the kitchen. And basically, we haven't had too much of that before. The only thing I can remember once was a while ago when somebody was renting that kitchen to make preserves because they were selling the preserves either at a market or putting them into a store that carries them, and their own kitchen, of course, isn't a certified kitchen. So it worked out well. But so the fact that this is even happening more often is terrific. So would anybody, Debbie, would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to make the motion that we charge to
I have a proposed resolution, Debbie. I just need you to fill in the blank for the over 3 hours usage.
All right.
So I have, be it resolved, the Creemore Station on the Green hereby set the kitchen rental rates at $150 for rentals lasting 1 to 3 hours, and blank above. So was that like what whatever the number was, is that for a full day?
No, Kayla, it would have to, because weddings, they often book the hall for 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever. For those purposes, it would be $150. For somebody who's just renting a kitchen, I would suggest $150 for, say, 4 hours, and then over that, $15 to $20 an hour.
50.
And I
15 to 20.
have you checked to see what other commercial
There aren't many commercial kitchens. The ones I found are in a city, and we cannot base our rates on those.
in
So Debbie, a
Simcoe?
lot of the hall boards actually have their kitchens, and they are certified inspected kitchens. They rent theirs out. Very similar. That's why I guess I was confused with the $150 for rentals lasting 1 to 4 hours. And then usually, in my experience, the other hall boards will rent at half day or full day rentals as well. So that might be something you'd like to look into additionally.
I just did a Google search for it, and there's a list provided in Simcoe of commercial kitchens, and I just sent you the link in the direct message, Debbie. If you just want to make a couple of quick calls, that's all my suggestion is.
Well, we already have a rate that we rent the kitchen out at. You said that in our contract it's $150.
Yeah, our contract is just $150.
And then what, yeah, that is for just renting the kitchen.
No, that $150 is basically, it's $150 to rent a full kitchen with an event.
With an event.
Rent
Okay.
partial kitchen with an event. What I'm suggesting is the restaurants that are coming to me wanting to rent it to bake their goods to then take it back to the restaurant and sell them, or for publicity reasons or whatever, like an individual thing that is just using the kitchen, other than a Creemore person, for example, or Clearview Township, whatever. Like a restaurant making business is looking to spend a lot of money on a commercial kitchen. $150 for 10 hours doesn't cut it.
All right, why don't you just make the motion that to rent just the kitchen costs $150 and you have use of it for 4 hours, and for every hour thereafter, it would cost you another $20 an hour.
Okay, well,
Does that keep it simple?
I think we need to know what they're charging for commercial kitchens before we come at it with a motion and establishment. Let's let Debbie decide. I think she's got her finger on it, and she knows what, there's an opportunity here for us to make more money, and Lord knows we do. And that's an advocate. I'm an advocate for that. So, I mean, $20 doesn't even sound right to me. It sounds like it should be 50. And then, so I think a couple of phone calls to other commercial kitchens to check their rates in Simcoe, because we're in that county, would be suffice.
Debbie, are you willing to do that? Oh, Brian, what would you like to say?
can we do this motion as an interim measure until Debbie has been able to check other commercial kitchens? And if so, if we find that they charge a lot more, we can revisit this in November and bump it up again to a level that matches. But in the interim.
Yeah, I like that idea. Thank you, Brian. So
Agreed.
Debbie, do you want to make the motion that it's just $150 for renting the kitchen, and it's up for, say, whatever you want to say, 3 or 4 hours, and then $20 more for every hour thereafter, and then we can relook at it in November. Does that make sense?
Yes. but we have to differentiate in that motion. Maybe the
Exclusive.
kitchen without
Exclusive
an
use.
event.
Yeah,
Like,
just
Oh, yeah, say definitely without an event, just renting the kitchen with no event. Yeah, so put it all together like that.
Sorry, I don't know if this is going to sound a little bit redundant, but your kitchen rental, if I come in and I just want to rent the kitchen, it's $150 and I get 1 to 4 hours for that $150.
Yeah.
Now, if I want to rent the kitchen and I'm doing my wedding there, so I have my wedding, I rented that, and now I say I want a caterer to use that kitchen, it's still $150. However,
That's it. That's it.
they
Yeah.
won't get the $20 per hour added onto it because I'm
No.
renting the facility.
No, and that's why I want to differentiate it, Kayla. I want it, yeah.
So with a rental rate of $150
With an
in conjunction with an event, and then $150 for 1 to 4 hours and $20 per hour thereafter.
For
For
without
exclusive
using it for any kind of an event. No
Yeah,
event.
just a kitchen rental.
I think Kayla's got it now.
Yeah. Is there a seconder for that motion? Jeremy? All in favor of the motion?
You need
I
me?
guess, yeah, right, here, carried. Thank
Sorry.
you.
Just from an administrative point, could I ask a quick question to Debbie?
Sure.
Yeah,
All right, so in the agenda, we have put forward, I think, a few weeks or months now, rental rates. Is that something that maybe you want to create a document that has a complete overview of the rental rates you'd like to see?
I do.
Okay.
I now have, Amanda was the last one I was waiting for. I have the prices for all the community halls and for the rooms in the arenas, whatever. And I want to put together a package to present to the board.
Okay, perfect. If you want, I don't know if Amanda sent you the other halls in the area as well in Clearview. That might be beneficial to kind of bounce off to see what they're renting their kitchens for and at what time period lengths.
All right.
So,
that'd be good.
and is there anything else, like we've got under rental report, we've got marketing and advertising?
I would like to put an ad in the Echo, in maybe the Stainer paper, maybe the Collingwood paper, to let them know we are open and ready for events. But I don't know if the front entranceway is going to cause a problem for that. So I've kind of been putting it off, but I would like to see it happen.
Comments?
I think so too. I agree with Debbie. Holding off is smartest move because I see the gravel there is a hazard. Nobody could push a wheelchair or even push a stroller.
I've had wheelchairs come in. I've had a couple of walkers come in. We just open up the door from the parking lot at the back of the building and they come in, no problems. So I don't know, as that is a factor, like it's up to you guys, but I have had them in and they have no issues. So
I think we should hold off until we hear back from Township and what they're going to do with the entrance.
okay.
Brian, your hand was up.
I was just going to comment on the previous motion. I agree with Patty's comment. It's good that you should check out what the other rates are for commercial kitchens, et cetera, et cetera. So that was the only comment that I had. And I think that's why, let's go ahead with what we're doing. And when we hear back at the next meeting, if we need to bump it up, we'll bump it up, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Debbie. Is there anything else on rental before we move on?
No, I don't believe so, except Terry, are you there?
Yep, sorry about that.
I hate to bring this up, but it was under my rental thing, the hole that's in the gravel walkway right now. What's going on there?
I don't know, it's the first I hear about it. I didn't even know that was,
Goes right up to the building and almost blocks the whole gravel walkway.
okay, I'll actually go down myself and have a peek, take a look. It's the first, how long has it been there for, Debbie?
I first noticed it on Monday.
Monday, okay, and that's the existing walkway that's there now, that stone pathway that we were talking about? Okay.
And it says there's a buried electrical wire, and I was concerned that they're going to be tapping into our electric or something because it's right up against the building. And I do have a celebration of life coming in there on November 13th that is going to be approximately 300 people. So I kind of need that hole filled in before then.
Yeah, I would assume, I would assume that the hole will be filled in, but I will go down myself today and have a peek, Debbie, and then I'll contact Village Green and find out why that hole is there and find out what the remedy is to fix that hole.
Thanks.
All right, and thank you. Debbie, I've got this, I think when we were talking on the phone, you mentioned that celebration of life and about 300 people. And you're planning on sitting at the door?
Yep, I will be at the door. And now we have a QR code for contact tracing. So all people have to do is scan that with their phones and it will go to the township and they fill in their information there. So coming in the building is going to be much simpler.
And are you getting extra pay for doing that in any way?
No, but I want to keep control of the situation as far as the station's concerned. So that's one of the COVID rules. It's the way life is now, and I'm willing to accept it, and I'm not worried about it. It's 4 hours, and I have to go back and check the bathrooms and everything anyway. I'm not at all worried. It's
all right.
In right now.
As you can see, Debbie is working very hard and doing a great deal. We'll talk about that when we can do a little bit more business. Are we into now building and landscaping?
I can comment on that. And so we had a very good day about a month, 3 weeks ago. And it was Brian, Tom, and Debbie came to help me with the clear out of a lot of, there's brush, there was trees to trim, various trees that were ingrowing, and so we managed to get all that out. So thanks to that group for putting the time in. It was great. Patty's person wasn't able to make it that day, so anyway, that's what we got, and we, I think, accomplished what we set out to do, so that was very good.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all who worked. Now on to current and new business. You all know about proof of vaccination requirements that has to go to the HR department of Clearview. Hopefully we have all done this. I have. Jeremy has. Patty, have you sent? You did it, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay. So again, you know that Anthony is no longer on our board because he has not done that and will not do that. So at the moment we are missing Anthony, and I do not know about other members of the board who are not here as to whether it has been done or not. Kayla, do you have any idea? Are we supposed to, who's checking up on that?
It is completely confidential. Our HR manager, Tammy Gill, will eventually have to submit sort of a list to council to have those who may not have participated to be removed from select boards and committees. So I will know when that goes to council later in November.
Okay. Yes, Debbie.
Can I just bring up something I forgot? For the contact or the proof of vaccination, Linda, you and I had this conversation the other day, but I have since found out that with the QR code, they have to show photo ID still.
Yeah, I heard that too, so it's good. It's
All
good.
right.
They have to do both. Thank goodness.
I just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you. Now other under current says booking cleaning agent board contact update.
That's yours, Linda.
That's mine.
Yes.
What am I
think
talking about?
I think you mentioned Patty might be going away for a little bit, so changing Debbie's contact over to
Oh,
you
yeah.
while
Yeah,
she's,
yeah, Debbie's contact is going to be me at this point in time. Yes, it has worked out quite nicely. And so, because Patty, are you heading off again?
I don't think I need to disclose that.
Okay, then don't worry about it. But anyway, so Debbie is going to use me as her contact at this point in time. But thank you very much. And the other thing I wanted, oh, yes, Brian.
Oh, no, finish what you're doing, and then I have a point I'd like to bring up as well.
Okay, well, the only thing I would like to bring up other than under new business is I would like to see Debbie's salary go back to where it should be, the full salary, not partial salary, not anything. I would like to see that happen. Is there any problem with that?
At this point, I have to leave, okay?
All right, I'll keep my fingers crossed for your grandson.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Great, bye-bye. So Brian?
Okay, that was the point I was going to bring up as well. I believe we raised Debbie's salary for October with an additional $200. And I don't have, oh, wait a second, maybe I do.
just a point of order, you've now fallen to 4 board members and you've lost quorum.
Oh,
You can
really?
yes,
Wait.
so you can discuss this matter. However, it will need to be passed at the next board meeting to have it be instated.
All right, well, just to further discuss, she has to be paid. Hopefully, Brian, when you look it up, it's possible. We'll have to do it at the next meeting and we'll put it on the agenda right at the top before we lose anybody else. But she does so much. People are contacting her about all kinds of things. She's doing the rental, she's doing the care, care of the station. She's doing things like sitting outside and doing the check, checking people going into the facility. She's the reason why we've got a lot of rentals. I sincerely hope at the next meeting that there should be no problem. And Brian, as you're looking at the finances, before the next meeting, hopefully it works out for us, but she definitely deserves to be on full salary at this point.
Yeah, and she was smart to remove herself from this discussion too, because it was inappropriate to bring it up while she was in the room.
Well, I think she is going to be, she knew I was going to bring it up, but anyway, and
But
she's going because,
definitely, she's on full duty now.
yeah, she
Whatever
is.
she's supposed to be paid, she should be getting paid.
She should be getting paid.
And if we can't, I don't think we have to vote on that. I think that's something that is clear that she is doing it. And if we needed to vote on it, but I remain corrected by Kayla, it would be retroactive and she get the money effectively from today that she should be getting. Okay.
So Kayla, do we have to vote on that? Because that's their salary listed.
Yes, only because you had already passed a motion that you were paying a percentage or a different wage. So we'll have to go through that again. Sorry.
And Brian, do you think it's going to be an issue or a problem in any way?
In terms of our finances, no.
Yeah. Okay.
Good.
All right. Then is there anything else that anybody would like to say? Well, then I thank you all very much for attending. And our next meeting is November 17th at 9 a.m.
Okay, just before you start.
Yeah.
Yeah, one final thing though, further to this, you know, the entranceway, can we get a status update, Linda? Maybe what we could do is, you being the chair, you could send a note to Terry in about a week's time, because like we're approaching, it will be very close to November the 1st. So would you be able to just get an update from them?
Well, Terry, you're still here.
Well, just send a note to them and ask them.
Yeah, a reminder would be nice. Jeremy, I appreciate that. My plan is to get back to the board as soon as possible by the end of this week. But yeah, if I don't get back to you by the end of the week, a kind reminder would be nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's appreciated.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Thank you.
Anything
And
else?
it doesn't matter. I just, regarding getting Don Crouchman over to help, if you're going to be doing any further cleaning up, I'm more than willing to donate his time towards that. Unfortunately, I didn't realize he was rushing off to Sudbury. There was a mine, guys that were stranded in a mine that was not really well publicized, and he had made commitments to go up and help them there. But anyway, just let me know by email, Jeremy, when your next work crew request comes through, and I will definitely donate his time to help.
Okay, thank you. Great. Sorry to interrupt your ending there, Linda. You go ahead and close us down.
Are you want to do something else? Did you want something else? No? Okay. So we are now going to adjourn the meeting, and if my watch is anywhere near correct, I think it's at 10:32.